Hello YouTubers, Stu Brookins here, PEI, Canada. Just a quick video on something that I encountered with my Ford F150 with the 5.4. It's an 05 Ford F150. Had a case where I started it, ran for a few seconds and stopped. Repeated itself. Would start for 5-10 seconds, stop again. Did that half a dozen times, it just continued to do that. Found a map code, mass airflow sensor issue. In fact, when I unplugged the sensor, it actually did start and seemed to be running, and then eventually went into fail-safe mode. So what happened with all that? Well, after checking fuel pump issues and possible fuel modulator possibilities and so on, doing some research, and of course I discovered it was a mass airflow sensor issue, I replaced the sensor. And I did that kind of in haste. It was late in the day and the parts store was going to be closed, so I felt I needed to get that quickly, so I got a sensor. It's about 200 bucks Canadian. Put it in, and of course at the same time then I pulled out the air filter. Yeah, that's where I got my wake-up call. I'm just going to bring you around to it here if you can see it there. The filter, I guess on your left, that darker one, that's actually the one that was in the vehicle. Yeah, see that? The hole through the center of the filter? Yeah, nasty. And all this gray stuff we're looking at there? Yep, that's actually from the hood liner. There's my hood liner on the floor. The top there stripped off a bit. It wasn't all off at that point, but about a half of it was gone. Some of it hanging down. So I thought, great. Found the problem. No big deal. So I took a pair of scissors. I cut off what was hanging there. Left the remainder of the roof liner looked fine to me, or the hood liner. Carried on. Cleaned out all the debris. I'd already replaced, of course, the mass airflow sensor at that point. Vacuumed everything out. Started the truck up. Great. Working great. So I drove the truck for a couple more days. I did kind of give it some thought as to how that hood liner got into the intake, because if you're familiar with the Ford F-150, the intake tube goes into the driver's side fender. There's no openings within the engine compartment exactly that this piece of hood liner could get to. It has to actually go sort of under the fender a little bit, then up inside the fender on the driver's side, and then back through the intake. So I guess the natural airflow, when you're driving down the road, it will put, I guess, the air in that direction, because that's what happened. So I thought it was a bit of a fluke, didn't figure it was a big deal, carried on. Jump ahead a day or two later, same problem. What the heck? I pulled the air filter apart, a new air filter 2 days earlier, and of course, as you just saw in the picture, the second air filter. Same situation, more debris. Now I had checked the intake tube, I took it off, I made sure there's nothing in it, I cleaned out the breather, looked inside the fender, didn't see anything. Obviously, there was a piece of this left over from the first round that was up inside the fender or somewhere where it could get drawn in, and ultimately it did. And so, anyway, so again, took it apart, cleaned it out, looked everywhere I could, didn't see anything. I didn't have the truck on a hoist, it was just outside. I thought, okay, sure to God, we got this done, we're going to be okay. Yeah, no. Rinse and repeat. Day or so later, same thing. Now the problem I've got into is it's got fail-safe mode all the time. I've erased the codes, done everything I can to get rid of fail-safe. It's not doing that. For a while, it would hardly move. I pulled the intake, the breather off and everything. Turned out that a piece of debris was actually down in the throttle body, wouldn't let it close, so that caused her not to accelerate. Got through that. I still have fail-safe mode. So I've erased it, can't go away. I think I'm gonna wind up taking the intake, the top part of the plenum off, and basically searching inside to see if there's debris inside the intake. Worse than that, maybe if something got through, it's got into the exhaust and caused damage with the catalytics. Don't know. I'm not there yet. Don't know. But I want to give you a heads up. If you have a case where your vehicle starts and then stops, starts and stops while it's sitting there, it's probably going to be a mass airflow issue. Don't assume it's the sensor. It could be a bad sensor. Sure enough, would be easy, but it doesn't have to be. The mass airflow sensor could be working correctly. You've got a restriction. So don't jump to conclusions. Check the basics first. Again, the night I got the sensor, I was in a rush because I knew the parts store would be closing. I just jumped the gun. So I wasted 200 bucks probably there. Again, I never thought this was something that could happen again. I thought it was an absolute fluke. Obviously it wasn't. Again, if you're into this, make sure you clean everything out. And I guess get it up on the hoist and look up on the fender, and I don't know, figure this out, because this could cost, I suppose, an engine, in some situations. So yeah, okay, that's all I got to say on the matter. I just thought I should put it out there. I didn't see this anywhere else. I did see one gentleman with a Mazda who did unplug the mass airflow sensor with the same symptoms, and that's kind of what got me going in that direction. whereas originally I was more towards fuel supply. So anyway, check it out. There was nothing I could find on YouTube. It's there now. Again, if your engine starts and then stops right away and just keeps repeating that, starts normally actually, but just idles for a few seconds and quits, keeps repeating that, yeah, you might want to go to the mass airflow sensor, and you might want to check to make sure there's no restrictions anywhere. And again, if it's the Ford F-150 and you've got the hood liner like that, you start seeing that getting tethered, tear it out. I will replace it probably. I don't need it. It doesn't have to be there. It's just mostly a noise dampener, but yeah, whatever. Bottom line is, a hood liner can cost you some money and maybe cost you an engine potentially. Don't do it. If you see the hood liner hanging or ripped, tear it off or replace it. Again, this is what you're looking at. And when that material gets up there and blocks your breather, all the suction of that V8 is going to suck right against that one spot, and you're going to wind up with air filters that look like that. Okay? All right, that's long enough. Thank you. Y'all have a great day. Take care.